Hello friends, welcome to VOW IAS. Welcome to the Prelims test series discussion of Vision IAS, and as you all know, we are having a discussion of all the prelims and the mains tests of Vision IAS, and this is part 1 of the second test. Okay, so we will quickly start with the first question. So the first question what we have is about the cantonment board. So this cantonment board, if you see, they are set up for the municipal administration for the civilian in the cantonment areas under the Cantonment Act of 2006. So this cantonment board, generally you will be seeing this topic in polity, that too in the urban local bodies. Over there you will be seeing this. So this cantonment board, it is under the Ministry of Defence. Remember this is very important. Cantonment board under Ministry of Defence under the Cantonment Act of 2006 consists of partly elected and partly nominated members. The elected members hold office for 5 years, while nominated members continue so long as they hold office in that station. The military officer commanding station is the ex officio president of the board and presides over its meetings. The vice president of the board is elected by the elected members from amongst themselves for a term of 5 years. This is about the cantonment board. Next is about the Ramanujan Prize. The second question, Ramanujan Prize for Young Indian Mathematician 2021. It is awarded to Professor Neena Gupta, and she is a mathematician at the Statistical Institute in Kolkata, and she is the fourth Indian to receive it. So the first award was given in 2005 to promote young talent in the field of maths from the developing countries. It is awarded annually to researchers who are less than 45 years of age because it's a young mathematician award. So remember this. It is Professor Neena Gupta, she is given this award for the work in affine algebraic geometry and the commutative algebra. It is instituted by, this Ramanujan Prize is instituted by Abdus Salam International Center for Theoretical Physics, Niels Henrik Abel Memorial Fund and International Mathematical Union. It is awarded to one person, but sometimes it may be shared as well. Let's move on to the third question. The third question is on the stem cells transplant. Recently, a US patient became the first woman and third person to be cured of a HIV after receiving the stem cell treatment from a donor who was naturally resistant to HIV. HIV is the human immunodeficiency virus. In this, the human immune system gets affected. So what they have done is they have taken the stem cells of a person who is resistant to this HIV, and this treatment was done. This was infused into the patient. So stem cells are nothing but the specialized human cells that develop into many different cells. So stem cells are the cells which can transfer or which can form or which can become any type of cells, like the muscle cells, blood cells, brain cells, etc. They are found in brain, blood, bone marrow, muscle, skin, heart, liver and tissues. Besides mammal, the stem cells can be derived from insects, amphibians and plants. There are three main types of stem cells: the embryonic stem cells, the adult stem cell and induced pluripotent stem cell. Embryonic stem cell means the stem cell that is obtained at the from the embryo, you can say from the embryo of the mother. Okay, so that will have these embryonic stem cells. Adult stem cell means the stem cells which are there and they grow and replace the cells that get damaged. So generally these adult stem cells will be there in our body. What they do is they will replace all the damaged cells in the body. So they are very specific. Induced pluripotent means they are nothing but the stem cells which are made in labs. That is called. These are the three main types of stem cells. Next question is on the bill. So when a governor reserves a bill for consideration of the president, he will not have any role in its enactment. If the bill is returned by the president for reconsideration of the house and is passed again, the bill must be presented again for the president assent only. But the president is not obligated to give assent to the bill. If the president gives his assent, it becomes an act and governor assent is not required. Okay, so a bill when presented or when it is given to the president by the governor for consideration, then the governor's role on that bill will reduce. And this bill, if the president sent back, then if the bill is returned by the president for the reconsideration of the house and is passed again, then this bill has to be presented to the president only and not to the governor, because it is the president who has sent it back. So the governor will not have any role if that bill is reserved for the president. That is the thing. Clear? Okay. Let's move on to the next one, motions. Motions, if you see, these are nothing but various resolutions or various things that are passed in the parliament. So we have various kinds of motions. One is the adjournment motion. it can be introduced in Lok Sabha only. The adjournment motion can be introduced in the Lok Sabha only. And no confidence motion, next you have, it can be moved against the Council of Ministers. Next is the censure motion. It can be moved against individual minister or Council of Ministers. These are the three main ministers. And this no confidence motion, this adjournment motion is introduced only in Lok Sabha, and also this no confidence motion can be introduced only in Lok Sabha because it is the executive that is responsible only to Lok Sabha. Okay, this is about the fifth question. Now let's go to the sixth question, the returning officer. Returning officer, if you see, he conducts elections in the parliamentary or assembly constituency. The election commission nominates officer of the government or a local authority as RO in consultation with the state government. The election commission also approves one or more assistant returning officers for each assembly and parliamentary constituencies to assist RO in their functions with respect to the conduct of elections. So returning officer is the officer who conduct elections in the parliamentary or state assemblies and is appointed by the election commission, is nominated by the election commission basically. Now let's go to the next question, the seventh question. It is with regarding to salaries and allowances of the Supreme Court judge. It is the Parliament which determines the salaries, allowances and leave of absence and pensions of the Supreme Court judge. Parliament cannot alter these privileges after the appointment of judge for the disadvantage. And all the salaries, allowances of Supreme Court judge, they are charged on the Consolidated Fund of India, including the pensions. But if you see the High Court judges, the salaries, allowances, they are charged on the Consolidated Fund of State. But if you take the pension, they are charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. The pension of the High Court judge is charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. This is the seventh question. Now let's go to the eighth question. Eighth question is with regarding to the Article 163(1). So this Article 163(1), if you see, it empowers governor to act in his discretion on certain matters. If you see, we have two constitutional bodies who are the head of state and the parliament. The central government. The president is the head of the country. He is the head of the country, head of the executive and all. And in the state, it is the governor who is the head. Both president and governor, both president and governor, if you see, they have certain powers. But most of the powers, they are not absolute. That means they have to follow what the state, the real executive says. For example, the prime minister or the chief minister in state. But there are certain discretionary powers as well. So for these discretionary powers, they don't have to consult. They don't have to talk to the executive, that is the prime minister in center or the chief minister in the state. That is the thing about these powers. These discretionary powers, if you see, they are more for the governor. And they are less for the president. So if you see this Article 163(1), it empowers the governor to act in his discretion on certain matters. So what are these conditions? So here you can see exercising powers of governor of Assam under the para 9 of 6th schedule. So if you see this 6th schedule talks about the tribal areas. Here the governor has more powers. Next, exercising functions as an administrator of union territory. If you see union territory, they will have lieutenant governors. These lieutenant governors have more power compared to that of the normal governor. Lieutenant governor, you can say, in fact, is the real head, and because generally the union territories are governed by the union. But if you see, we have two union territories, that is Delhi and Puducherry, which have legislative assembly as well. Delhi and Puducherry. So even though the legislative assembly is there, the governor plays a major role. The legislative assembly takes place, or it only take care of few things. It takes care of few things. So rest of things, for example, the public order, police, land, they are with the central government, and even the lieutenant governor plays a major role. The final decision of all the things lies with the lieutenant governor only. So also another thing, if you see, special responsibilities which are assigned to the governor of various states under Article 371. Submitting a report to the president under Article 356 on the failure of constitutional machinery in the state. So even if you see, for this Article 356, whenever there is failure of the state machinery, whenever the state machinery fails to follow the orders of the center, or they fail to function according to the constitution, then then the governor sent a report to the president asking for the implementation of this president rule under Article 356. Also, reserving of bills to the president is at the discretion of the governor. That is the reason it is said the governor has more discretionary powers. Next, let's go to the ninth question. So, ninth question here it is District Planning Committee, the DPC. The District Planning Committee, if you see, so we have 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Acts, under which the most important bodies came into light. They are nothing but the Panchayati Raj institutions and the urban local bodies. These both are very important because they empowered the local governments. So local governments are the governments where the people have direct interaction. So this direct interaction actually plays a major role. Because of this direct interaction only, people will be able to talk about their issues. People will be able to involve in the policy making. So that's why these two, the 73rd and 74th Amendment Acts, they are very, very important. They are very, very important. So the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, if you see, the state shall constitute the District Planning Committee to consolidate plans prepared by the Panchayat and municipalities in the districts and to prepare draft development plan for the district. So this DPC, District Planning Committee, is according to the 74th Amendment Act, which consolidate the district plans. Which consolidate the plans, in fact, given by the municipalities as well as the state, as well as the it's as well as by the Panchayat. Municipalities and Panchayat. So this District Planning Committee has 4/5 of the members who are elected, and rest of the 1/5 are nominated. So the selection happens from the members of the district panchayat and municipalities, and the representation of these members should be according to the proportion between rural and urban population. So this is about the District Planning Committee. Next question is on the Vice President. So Vice President, if you see, in India, he is the head of Rajya Sabha. He is the head of the upper house, that is Rajya Sabha. The Vice President powers, they are similar to that of President. But the thing is that the Vice President is subordinate to the President. He is the second head, you can say. Vice President, as the name suggests. So the powers are similar to that of President, and the election is similar to that of President. The only difference is that the member of the state legislatures, they are not part of electoral college. So for the President, if you see, the state MLAs also cast their vote, but for the Vice President elections, the state MLAs do not have the power to cast their vote. Only the Parliament MPs will cast their vote. So if you see, the Vice President, he is ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha and takes over the office of President when there is vacancy by reasons of death, resignation, removal and by impeachment. Article 67 says that the Vice President can be removed from the office. So the formal impeachment is, but for that the formal impeachment is not required. It can be removed. He can be removed by a resolution of Rajya Sabha passed by a majority of all the Rajya Sabha members agreed by the Lok Sabha. Okay, so but the only thing is that a 14 days notice has to be given to the Vice President, and no ground has been mentioned in the Constitution for his removal. The ground for removal is not given. So this is about the Vice President. And another important thing is, if the President dies, then Vice President will act as the President. When the President dies suddenly, the Vice President can act as the President. But the maximum term is 6 months only. Before that, elections have to be conducted. That is the thing about the election of Vice President. The next topic that we have is the next question is about the Committee on Public Sector Undertakings. See, these parliamentary committees are very, very important for us. Parliamentary committees. They are so important that based on these parliamentary committees, every alternate year, we will be seeing questions in the prelims. So just keep a close eye on this. This Committee on Public Sector Undertakings, if you see, it was set up in 1964 on the recommendation of Krishna Menon Committee. This committee, what it does is, it examines the reports and accounts of the public undertakings, examine the CAG reports. It is not to examine and investigate any of the following. That means it does these things, but it also does not do, or you can say it does not investigate the matters of major government policy as distinct from the business or commercial functioning of public undertakings, matters of day-to-day administration, matter for consideration of which machinery is set up, by any special statute, technical matters as its members are not technical experts. And the chairman, if you see, he is appointed by the speaker from amongst its members who are drawn from Lok Sabha only. The members are elected every year for a term of 1 year via the proportional representation using single transferable vote, and a minister cannot be elected as the member of the committee. So the public sector undertaking, the committee is the parliamentary committee set up in 1964 on the recommendation of Krishna Menon committee. This basically has two major functions: examine the report and the accounts of public undertakings, and the other one is the examine the report of the CAG. That is the main thing. These are the two main functions. Next question: Vice President or the Chairman of Rajya Sabha. Already we have seen just now. So here this question is talking about the term. The term of office is 5 years from the date in which he enters the office, and the Vice President may resign by writing to the President, by addressing the President. So these are the two important things. Next one, constitutional provisions with regard to the Supreme Court judge. The age up till which a person can be judge of the Supreme Court is 65 years. 65 years. And any question with regarding to the age is determined by such an authority and in such manner as provided by the Parliament. So it is the Parliament which will decide the age, in brief you can say. He can resign by writing to the President. The removal, if you see, the removal is done by the President on the recommendation of the Parliament. There is no fixed tenure for the Supreme Court judge. So if a person is found doing some misconduct, or if he is involved in some kind of bribery or any other issue, then this person can be removed by a special majority of the Parliament after the investigation by a 3-member committee. It's a very tedious process. And the conduct of judges cannot be discussed in the legislature except during impeachment motion. Next one, the bicameral system. India, if you see, has a bicameral system. So bicameral system means 2 houses of the Parliament. Even in USA you will find bicameral system. Even in UK you will find the bicameral system. So we have 2 houses, the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Okay. Even at state level, some states have these 2 houses, the Legislative Assembly and Legislative Council. Can you just tell in the comments what are the states which have Legislative Council? Okay. So in tomorrow's class we will discuss that as well. So do leave in your comments what is your answer. Next one. So here if you see, the Parliament can create or abolish the Legislative Council. The Parliament has the power to do that. But before the Parliament passes a resolution, the state has to pass its resolution by a special majority. And this also is not part of the Article 368. It is not part of Article 368. Next one, ordinary bill. The ordinary bill can originate in either house of the state legislature. So if the Assembly rejects amendment suggested by the Council, or Council rejects bill altogether or does not take any action for 3 months, then the Assembly may pass the bill again and transmit the same to the Council. If the Council rejects the bill or passes the bill with amendment is not acceptable to the Assembly or does not pass the bill within a month, then it is deemed to have passed by both houses in the form in which it was passed by the Assembly for the second time. Thus, the power of passing ordinary bill rests with the Assembly. At most, the Council can detain or delay the bill for 4 months, 3 months in one instance and 1 month in second instance, and the Constitution does not provide for the mechanism of joint sitting of both houses. So this is with regard to the bills. So remember this very well. For the joint sitting, the Speaker will be the head. And for the joint sitting, or you can say the constitutional amendment bills cannot be passed by the joint sitting. They has to be passed by both the houses independently. Remember this as well. Next one, qualification for MLA. A person shall be disqualified for being chosen as an MLA if he holds any office of profit under the union or state government. So he should not hold an office of profit. He should not be an undischarged insolvent. So also he should be an Indian citizen and he should not have any foreign citizenship if he is disqualified under any law made by the Parliament. So these are the major things. And a person shall be disqualified for being member of either house of state legislature if he is so disqualified on the grounds of defection under the provision of 10th schedule. If one is found guilty of an illegal practice in relation to elections and being a director or managing agent of a corporation in which the government has financial interest. And also Section 8 of Representation of People Act deals with the disqualification on conviction for certain offences. A person convicted of any offence and sentenced to imprisonment for varying terms under Section 8, 1, 2 and 3 shall be disqualified from date of conviction and shall continue to be disqualified for the further period of 6 years since his release. In 2015, Supreme Court held that even after returning officer has declared result, The election can be nullified if the candidate has not disclosed the criminal record. So these are the various provisions under which a person can be disqualified from the MLA. So what are the things? He should not have an office of profit. He should not have unsound mind. He should not be undischarged insolvent. He should not have foreign citizenship, and also he should not be disqualified under any law of the parliament. Okay, and another thing is 10th schedule. Under 10th schedule also a person can be disqualified. And under section 8 of Representation of People Act, the conviction for certain offences, like a person convicted of any offence and sentenced to imprisonment for varying terms according to these sections, will be disqualified. So under this RPA also a person can be disqualified, right? So these are the various things. Next question, the 16th question, is with regard to the Panchayati Raj system. So in Jan 1957, the government appointed the committee to examine working of Community Development Program 1952, National Extension Service 1953 under the Balwant Rai Mehta Committee. So see, we have three major committees: the Balwant Rai Mehta Committee, GVK Rao Committee, LM Singhvi Committee. So these are the major committees for this Panchayati Raj system, various committees. And this Balwant Rai Committee recommended for a three-tier Panchayati Raj system: the Gram Panchayat at village level, Panchayat Samiti at block level, and Jilla Parishad at district level. And Rajasthan is the first state to implement the Panchayati Raj institution, and it was inaugurated on 2nd of October 1959 in Nagpur. It was followed by Andhra Pradesh in 1959. The 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1992, if you see, it is enforced on 24th of April 1993, and the constitutional status to Panchayati Raj was given. The state government had to adopt new Panchayati Raj as per the Act. So this is about the Panchayati Raj system. Next one, the trade, commerce and intercourse. Under Article 301, the trade, commerce and intercourses throughout the territory of India shall be free. Freedom granted by Article 301 is the freedom from all restrictions except those which are provided for in other provisions. And the Parliament can impose reasonable restrictions on the freedom of trade, commerce and intercourse between the states within the public interest. Okay, so this is the thing. So though Article 19, if you see, it provides lots of freedoms, but the state can impose reasonable restrictions, and it is even applicable to all the trade as well. Okay, right. Next question, 18th question. Here, this question is on the fifth schedule of Indian Constitution. So this fifth schedule of Indian Constitution, if you see, this fifth schedule deals with the administration of scheduled areas and STs in any state except 4 states: Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. Okay, except these 4 states. With regard to all the other states, the 5th schedule deals with it. These 4 states are dealt by the 6th schedule. Okay, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram is dealt by 6th schedule. And features of 5th schedule, if you see, President is empowered to declare an area to be scheduled area. He can increase or decrease the area and alter its boundaries. And here the thing is that the governor will be empowered to take various decisions and also ensure that few acts that are applicable to these areas or not. So governor will do all these things. Next, the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, the 19th question. So this 19th question talks about this Panchayati Raj system. Remember, 73rd talks about the PRI and the 74th talks about the urban local bodies. At the 73rd, if you see, it provides for a 5-year term of office to Panchayat at every level, but it can be dissolved also. Further, the fresh election to constitute Panchayat shall be completed before the expiry of its duration of 5 years, or in case of dissolution, before the expiration of 6 months from the date of dissolution. But for the remainder of period in less than 6 months, it shall not be necessary to hold any election for the new Panchayat for such period. And the Panchayat made upon dissolution of Panchayat before the expiration of its duration shall continue only for the remainder of the dissolved period. So this is very important. So generally, the term of Panchayat is 5 years, right? Term of Panchayat is 5 years. But if you see, if it expires, then there will be fresh elections. In simple words, okay, it will be fresh elections in the simple words. But when it's dissolved, as I said, new elections will be conducted. But if there is only 6 months, left, then I think now you can see. But if there is only 6 months left, then what will happen is that no new elections will be conducted. Right. And another important thing is that, let's say, if there is dissolution of Panchayat after 3 years, okay, generally the term is 5 years, but after 3 years the Panchayat got dissolved. So there will be new elections for the new Panchayat. But this new Panchayat which will come into power will be only there for 2 years because already 3 years is completed by the old panchayat and the new panchayat will be in place only for 2 years. That means only for the remainder of the term. That is the thing. Next, local government. So local government, if you see, it is a state subject. The state are free to make their laws on this, but the 73rd and 74th Amendment Act made, so the state has to change their laws with respect to the local bodies to bring in conformity with the constitution within a year. But lot of states still did not devolve as a lot of powers. These state, or you can say, the local bodies were not given enough powers even today. That is the reality. So next question, the Legislative Assembly and Legislative Council. So Legislative Assembly is the assembly of the state and Legislative Council is that of the Rajya Sabha of the state. This Legislative Assembly can override the Legislative Council by passing a bill for the second time. So this Legislative Council, if you see, it has limited powers, and the Legislative Council is there only for few states. So what are the states? We will see. It is UP, Bihar, Maharashtra, AP, Karnataka and Telangana. Only these states have the second house. The other states don't have. Earlier Jammu Kashmir also used to have the second house, that is the Legislative Council, but now as Jammu Kashmir is a union territory, it doesn't have that, right? And this Legislative Council, as just now we have discussed, has limited powers. It does not have sufficient powers, in fact. So they can only delay a bill. But they cannot override the bill, or you can say they cannot ask the Legislative Assembly to accept their proposals. That is another thing. And the mechanism of passing the bill for the second time to resolve a deadlock applies to the bill originating in Legislative Assembly only. When a bill which originated in Legislative Council and sent to Legislative Assembly is rejected later, then the bill ends and become dead. So the Legislative Council, if it sends a bill, if the Legislative Assembly does not accept, then it is not counted. Then it does not have any value. That is the thing about this. Next one, the Commission on Center-State Relation. You have various commissions. Sarkariya Commission, it is appointed in June 1983, focusing on cooperative federalism. You have the Punchi Commission. So Punchi Commission, formed in 2007, gave its recommendations in 2010. This is also related to the center-state relations. What it stated is, there should be consultation process between the center and the states for the interstate council appointment and legislations on concurrent subjects. With respect to the state bills, the president pocket veto should end, and there should be a reasonable time in which the president should give his assent. The treaty making powers of union and the union should be regulated, and the states should get greater participation in the treaties, and the governor should get clear guidelines for the appointment of chief minister so that he does not misuse his discretionary powers. These are the recommendations of Punchi Commission. So whenever there is a question on interstate council and all, always use these commissions: Sarkariya Commission, the Punchi Commission, Rajmanar Commission and all. So Rajmanar Commission, if you see, appointed in 1969, besides, so what it stated is, besides calling for immediate constitution of interstate council, it has given certain recommendations. They are: government should not take any decision without consulting interstate council when it can affect interest of one or more states. Every bill affecting state interest should be first referred to the interstate council before its introduction in the parliament. And Article 356, if you see, it should be used only in cases of complete breakdown of law and order in the state. So these are the various recommendations. Next one, the 23rd question is talking about the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. So Nord Stream 2 pipeline, if you see, recently it was halted, and because of this Russia-Ukraine war, this Nord Stream pipeline was in news for various reasons. Recently, Germany halted this Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and the Nord Stream 2 is a 1200 kilometer long pipeline under the Baltic Sea. This Baltic Sea, it will take the gas from Russian coast near the St. Petersburg to the Lubin in Germany. It's a system of offshore natural gas pipelines. So this Nord Stream is opposed by US and Ukraine and some other Central and Eastern European countries as well. But this Nord Stream is the lifeline of Europe. Without this Nord Stream, the Europe survival is very difficult. That's why Russia has that leverage in the Ukraine war. Next one, the impeachment of the president, the 24th question. So this president topic is itself very important. The president appointment is done by the election, and in this election, the state MLAs, the MPs take part. But the important thing is that nominated MPs, they don't take part. That is the only difference. That is the only major thing we have to notice. But for the impeachment, if you see, the impeachment of the president can be done only for the violation of constitution. Well, this should be the reason. This violation of constitution is there only for president. Only for president. And for the impeachment of the president, and a resolution has to be initiated in either of the house with the signature of 1/4 of members. 1/4 of the members have to sign it. So when the president gets impeached, let's say if president is impeached, then the vice president will become president for about 6 months. Before that, new elections have to be held. So coming back to the impeachment of the president, 1/4 members will sign a resolution. This resolution has to be introduced in the parliament. Before that, a 14-day notice has to be given to the president for explanation. The president can take part and explain the parliament about all the things, why he has taken such a decision and why, or you can say he can defend himself. In fact, the president can defend himself. But the thing is, he cannot participate in the voting. No voting is there for the president, though he is part of the parliament. So this impeachment resolution has to be passed by both the houses by 2/3 of total membership. This is the important thing. 2/3 of total membership, and then the president stands to be removed. Next question, the 25th question is with regarding Article 163. It states that there shall be Council of Ministers to aid and advise the governor in his functions, except for those which need discretion of the governor. The term of chief minister is not fixed and holds the office during the pleasure of the governor. He cannot be dismissed by the governor as long as he enjoys majority support in legislative assembly. But if he loses confidence of assembly, he must resign or the governor can dismiss him. He can recommend dissolution of legislative assembly to governor at any time. So this is about Article 163. Next one. Okay, as it crossed 30 minutes, we will end the session here. We will continue the session tomorrow. And guys, the document that we are using for the discussion is a summary document that we have prepared for your revision. Do make the best use of this summary document. This will help in your preparation. This will ensure that you cross the line with a very good margin. Okay, so do make the best use of these kind of summaries that we have prepared, and also flourish in your preparation. Okay, so do check the details in the Telegram channel. Do check the quality as well. Right, so that's it guys for the day. I'll see you again tomorrow with with another set of MCQs of the second test. Till then, keep studying and stay tuned. Jai Hind.